So you released the depth chart yesterday, and some things in there that I wanted to ask about. You had two guys on the offensive line listed as starters who kind of came up through the ranks and beat out some more experienced transfers in Bruno Fina and Josh Carlin. Can you tell us about their rise to become starters?
Yeah, both those guys did an unbelievable job. But I think when you look at our depth chart, we're going to play 10 offensive linemen. So those are the guys that will start the game. But you'll see 10 different guys in there. So we're going to play a lot of people on the O-line. They deserve to play. And you got to say who's going to play the first snap. But over the course of the game, I think everybody will get snaps at that position.
Can you tell us a little bit more about each of those guys and the work they've done, though, just to be in that position?
Yeah, two great kids, work their asses off. They do everything that you ask them from a standpoint in the weight room, in the classroom. Both really, really good students, real students of the game of football. Can't be more happy than both those guys. I think they put in a lot of time and effort here and deserve to play.
Colson Yankoff, he's going to do kick returns? Is that correct? Okay. But what impressed you about him in that role?
Colson's size, his strength. He's one of the fastest kids on his team. He's 6'4". He's 230 pounds. He's really come into his own as a special teams player and as a running back for us. So really impressive what Colson has put in during the course of his career here.
The tight end group, I think you had all of them kind of listed. Didn't really name a starter.
But we could have done that at every position. So
correct.
They're all going to play.
Just talk about the depth in which you have available at that position.
Yeah, we got Mo and Hudson and Carson are, they're three a little bit different body types, but they're all big kids. They're all 250, 260 plus pounds. They're versatile. They can play multiple positions. They can be flexed out. They can play H move for us, which is a move position for us. They can play Y for us. So, again, all three of those guys have been outstanding through the spring and then through preseason camp.
What are you looking to analyze about the quarterbacks once they get into a game situation?
Who's going to help us win the game? It's a very simple process, and I think all three of those guys can do that, and that's why all three of those guys are going to play.
Any more thoughts on how you'll kind of divvy up their playing time?
Yeah, it's Wednesday, so we haven't had any discussions. We do all of our game day substitutions and things like that, either depending on if it's a Saturday game early, then we do it on Friday, and if it's a Saturday evening game, we do it until Saturday because you have no idea, what the protocols are and if who's up, who's down, and whatever it is, and so we wait till the last second. But there's no reason to do that on a Wednesday when all of a sudden someone rolls an ankle on a Friday, then you got to go sit down and redo it again. So that's always been the way we've done it.
You've pretty consistently rotated offensive linemen in your time here, and that's kind of been an evolution, I think, in football generally in the last 5-10 years. What kind of went into that for you?
I've always done it everywhere I've been, so it's not an evolution for us. When we were at Oregon, Steve Greatwood did it all the time. Then kids played multiple positions. You did it right from the jump on the first game because in Game 6, if you lost your center and no one's ever taken a snap at center, then you're going to be in a lot of different situations. So, going back to 05, 06, 07, wherever I've been, we've always played. And you're trying to develop that depth. Who's your backup center? Who's your backup guard? Who's your backup tackle? So at least you have 8 guys that can play. But I think sometimes you can get to 9 or 10. They deserve to play. But it's no different than defensive line rotates all the time. And no one ever talks about that. But for some reason they talk about it when the offensive line rotates. Receivers rotate all the time. Running backs rotate all the time. So it's, I think, at every position. And it's probably the norm through college football and in the professional ranks that everybody that is up and is active and then can play, then should play. The days of 11 guys play and the rest of the team sits on the bench and watches them play, those days have been over for a while. So.
Titus was listed outside. Does he have the flexibility to rotate?
Everybody's an outside or an inside receiver, so you got to list them somewhere. So you'll see all of our guys play outside. Jake Bobo was an outside receiver for us. Jake Bobo was an inside receiver for us. Kyle played inside. Kyle played outside. So there's a bunch of versatility in all those spots.
Coach, this being your first year without DTR, can you just talk about the leadership Ethan has had kind of in stabilizing your quarterback room?
Yeah, but I don't think it's just Ethan. I think it's the whole group. So that it's not, that doesn't fall on one guy. When you lose someone as talented as Dorian, and who's played so many snaps of us, I think that's the reason we're going to play 3, is all 3 of those guys have handled it really, really well. They get along great. It's a great room to watch them, how they train on the field together and what they're like in the classroom. So all those guys have done a really good job of leading in their own way. They don't have to do it the way Dorian did it, because obviously they're different, and that's nothing that we ask our guys to do. We want them to be authentic and to be themselves, and both Ethan, Colin, and Dante have done that.
Do you think that the talent pool for quarterbacks in general in college football has kind of expanded? Like, are there more talented guys who can come in, do the job?
I'm lost on that question.
Okay, so just no.
I know I don't. I've never thought. I mean, I think every year some years there's a better group of high school prospects, and then the next year there's an unbelievable group of high school. I think it's just like the NFL. You look at some years in the NFL, and it's like, oh my God, there's 7 quarterbacks that may be picked in the first 5 picks, and then there's other years in the NFL where there is no first-round draft pick, and I think it's not a. Every year is kind of different, so I don't. Sometimes the class of 27 is loaded, but the class of 28 isn't loaded. You know what I mean? I think I don't know what the answer is, but you just kind of evaluate the talent of it.
Do you have any conversations with Kevin Heddig or Dan O'Shea in bringing Ethan to UCLA?
Yeah, we talk. Yeah, we talk to every high school coach of every kid we recruit, so we know Coach O'Shea really well, and we got Bradley Shalom here. We've got Ethan here, so we're big fans of the Sea Kings.
With that place kicker competition, I think it's listed as an or.
Mm-hmm.
Are we going to see both of those guys? Or?
You could. It's Wednesday, so we haven't finalized anything there, but both those guys can kick and both those guys can kick off. So
how's that competition gone in camp?
It's been really close and really outstanding. Both those guys have really risen to the occasion, so we'd be confident with either of those guys.
Thank you.
We good? All right, guys. Thank you.